Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ikhwan Nurzaman bin Azman. Today I will presenting for the Bachelor Degree Project 2 for this semester. Okay, before I start, my supervisor is Technologist Muhammad Lutfi bin Ahmad Jini. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, for my bachelor degree project this semester, the title study on the potential use of reclaimed asphalt pavement as an aggregate substitute in concrete mixture. I choose this material to do some research on the potential, neither on the fine aggregate or coarse aggregate in the concrete mixture. Okay, let's move on to the abstract. Okay, in this section, I have explained about the introduction of RAP to be mentioned and the result of the test. We can conclude that in the abstract to determine the potential of using RAP aggregate in concrete mixing is good or not. Let's move on to chapter 1. As we all know, concrete is the oldest and commonest construction material in the world. Concrete production has come from a long time ago. For example, the Assyrian and Babylon exploited mud as cement in their concrete, whereas the traditional Egypt used sedimentary rocks and mineral cement. Concrete characteristics were adjusted since Roman and Egyptian times once found to add volcanic ash to the combination in hardening underneath the water. Reclaimed asphalt pavement is a residue produced for maintenance and restoration purpose during the milling of deteriorated pavement. In lightweight surface construction, the recycling of RFP required a large amount of energy to attempt to prevent the needed to remove additional natural aggregate. There is some concern that the days of infinite supplies for concrete surface of high quality virgin aggregate have ended. Overall costs also account for 20 to 30% of concrete pavement material cost. The rise of aggregate expense is primarily due to higher energy usage during aggregate output and shipping. For the objective and the scope of study, the purpose of the study is to determine the potential of reclaimed asphalt pavement in the normal concrete mixture as the aggregate substitute. Second, the compare previous study or research to get which type of aggregate is suitable to use. Okay, the research was performed on the basis of the scope limit to ensure that the purpose of the study could be accomplished. The goal is to better understand the viability of the using reclaimed asphalt pavement in the concrete mix as an aggregate substitute. This is intended to reduce the use of natural aggregate derived from the environmental source. From this, we can prevent the usage of raw material to use in the concrete mixture. Okay, for literature review in chapter 2, we will talk about from the previous research. We point out what is the material used and how many the percentage of the previous mix design for the reclaimed asphalt pavement used for in this study. Property concrete is related to reducing polluting and carbonic acid gas emitted throughout the concrete production. Features available on concrete: heat resistant, do not burn, do not rust, or not concrete and harden, freeze water present. Numerous other materials have been proposed as substitute for conventional ingredient of concrete. More than 100 million tons of reusable asphalt pavement have been obtained for reuse in US country during 2018, saving landfill 61.4 million cubic yards. Concrete mix design will be designed according to the design of normal concrete mix recommended of FIP. Grade 30 concrete age of 7 of 28 days to be created using this method. Flowability is among the largest characteristic of concrete mix that is significant concern. A limit of 40% RFP is permitted in the surface mix under the new Public Building Commission required in Taiwan. That is the example of the percentage usage RFP in Taiwan itself. The researchers from Taiwan used the mix design to determine for the concrete potential. The unit weight, ultrasonic pulse, compressive and bending strength, and modular elastic decrease with increasing percentage of RFP, which means that when the researchers add more the percentage of RAP aggregates in the concrete mixture, the strength of the concrete will decrease. This is because maybe the admixture from the RAP itself affect the concrete characteristic. From the researcher Al-Orami said the average aggregate cost fraction was substituted by 0% by cost RAP, 25%, 50% and 75%. Free shrinkage and abrasion grew as the RAP material improved. Okay, as you can see in the figure 2 is a particle size distribution of natural and RAP fine aggregate. That is from the researcher named Singh from 2018. Then on the table 1, mixed quantity, set from Al-Orami itself. As you can see in the table, the percentage of RAP used and the quantity used for the mixture. Chapter 3, which is methodology. In this chapter, I will explain on how the study was done, how obtain the journal, and the method of using in this study from the previous journal that I found out from every journal. Alright. Okay, as you can see in the slide is the flowchart of the study that have been done during this semester. In the research significant, two methods are used in this study to obtain the journal article. First is the internet. As you can see, I use the related website. For example, I put the title related in this study, then the result has shown many from the previous researchers has done using this material. Second is the internet public library, also the same. Next one is the online article. For example, Mendeley, Google Scholar, ResearchGate, Science Direct, and others. From the online article, I have gained more articles and journal about the previous study of the RAP usage. Second is the related journal or previous thesis. From the previous thesis, I make a reference from a previous student thesis that I have obtained from the supervisor. Then from the UTSM library also provide e-thesis, soft copy for the thesis. We can see for the only for reference. Then others university, for example like UPM, UTM, USM, and others. Okay, from overall, the researcher observed that concrete containing RAP could be blended and cast by traditional means with no content charge. The author concluded that fine RAP had more harmful effect than the finished product cost recycled content. Cement density and optimum moisture content are determined using convection test for the cement content. That is the summary from all journal that I come out for the method. Method for testing using in this study is slump test, compressive strength test, split tensile test, water absorption, and abrasion resistance. These are the common method of testing used from many research that have been read. Okay, let's go for the discussion. I can say that to summarize all the results from all the journal that I have read, to summarize the potential usage of RAP as a substitute for aggregate. Concrete mix design will be designed according to design of normal concrete mix recommended by FYP. Fine RAP aggregate partly replace fine natural aggregate after venturing out the best aggregate skeleton. Some of researchers claim that RAP does not affect shrinkage behavior, while others contend that RAP continues to decrease PCC, Portland cement concrete shrinkage. One potential alternative for RAP as an aggregate replacement for Portland cement concrete is for reducing the volumes of extra RAP. The main cause responsible for the drop in overall intensity are asphalt film and agglomerate particle in RAP. As I mentioned earlier, the strength decrease in the concrete mix is caused from the other material called the asphalt film. Up to 50% cost and fine RAP can be used as minimum intensity benchmark can be met. With additional mixture of cements, the mechanical efficiency could not be improved due to the lack of asphalt cohesion associated with this hybrid mixture. Alright, we have come to the final chapter, which is the conclusion. This study was carried out to determine the best potential of using reclaimed asphalt pavement as substitute neither to cost or fine aggregate in concrete mix. The design of asphalt film and agglomerate particle RFP has been established as the main factor responsible for the lowering overall strength characteristic in the concrete mixture. The use of this aggregate in concrete seems to be an innovative solution. Among the advantages of using it as a substitute for aggregates can be summarized as follows. First, RFP is a waste material. Indirectly, when using this material in the concrete, it can reduce the material cost, which is the raw material that we use in the ordinary concrete production. Instead of we using the recycled material, so from that we can cut cost, the material cost itself. Second, can reduce the problem of aggregate source. As I mentioned earlier, this material is a recycled material. It affects the raw material if we do not use this recycled material. For concrete application such as sidewalk, driveway, curb and gutter, concrete mix include RFP may qualify. It has more detrimental consequences to replace only the fine component of aggregate with its corresponding RFP than to substitute both fine and cost. I can conclude that the usage of RAP in concrete mixture is good for the non-load bearing structure. The recommendation for the upcoming studies, based on the study have done, we can see that the potential of using RP as substitute aggregate may have problem to a large structure. This is because of the decrease of strength properties in the concrete not suitable for large structure. These are the recommendation and investigate for improvement on the properties of RP concrete mixture so that can be applied to a large structure or building. Second, adding more additive materials such as silica fume to improve its properties. Maybe with some chemical mixture may be improved slightly for the properties in the concrete mixture. Then the third is the overall cost for the RFP concrete production. I can say that because from the previous researchers, they didn't mention the cost of this RFP concrete production. So I hope for the further study, they can tell the exact cost of the RFP concrete mixture production. These are the reference from the journal that have obtained. For example, first Al-Orami, the recycling of reclaimed asphalt pavement in Portland cement concrete. And the Barma, can flexible pavement waste RFP be utilized in cement concrete pavement? And Hassan, the use of reclaimed asphalt pavement aggregates in concrete, and many others journal with them related title on these studies. That's all from me. Thank you for your time to watch this presentation. Bye. See you soon.